Hello, everyone. This is Amy from the THCWC, the Two Hills and Area Community Wellness Coalition. And today I am in the lovely home of Don Gulayec, our county Reeve. So thanks for having me here today,
Thank
Don.
you for coming.
My first question for you today is, how long have you lived in the Two Hills area?
We've been here for 27 years. Actually, February will be 28.
A long time.
It's been a while, yeah.
And what drew you to the area?
Well, I guess it's part of a long story, how we actually got here, but long story short, I did work in Calgary for a number of years, and there was changes in jobs and so on and so forth. I worked for a company called McGavin's Bakeries, and they wanted me to move to Winnipeg and take over a position there. And I'd already jumped around all over Alberta as it was and moved my family around, and I just wasn't willing to go to a place that I knew nobody.
Right.
So, when I told them I wouldn't go, of course, they gave me a package, and I figured, well, that was traumatizing as it was. I'd spent 22 years with them. Okay. So we figured, well, change is as good as a rest. And so we started, wanted to go back to my roots because that seemed to be the most comfortable time in my life, and that was agriculture.
Right.
And being used to getting a monthly paycheck, I wanted to get into an agricultural industry that paid monthly.
Okay.
I.e. something that, like chickens or hogs, something that there's animals moving out all the time, or,
Right.
or dairy. And when I looked around, and we went through a number of different places in central Alberta, and our real estate agent said, you know what, I know of a place up in northern Alberta. And they said the Derwent area. And I said, well, gosh, I grew up in that area. You can't tell me that there's a place like that. And we came out here, and sure as heck, there was a facility. It was an older couple that were looking on leaving the farm, and they took us under their wing, basically taught us the business, and then built a house in Vermilion, and we just took it, or we bought it. But it was a nice transition, very friendly transition, and we remain friends with them till this day.
Oh, that's so cool. And they probably appreciated knowing that their farm was in good hands too. And
Yeah, it was that was one of the questions that came from the owner's wife. Okay, they were both owners, but he was the managing partner per se, and she had talked to Deb, because Deb came in the day that we were taking everything over, and she was wearing her fur coat and so on and so forth, and she asked and says, "Are you going to help Don in the barn?" And Deb says, "Well, yes, I will." Well, good, because if you're not going to help him, it's no use us selling the farm to you. She was a very outspoken German lady.
Yeah.
Yeah, and but it was good. It was nice to have them around, and they used to come out on a regular basis, every second week, drive into the yard, see what we're doing. It was like having my parents back, type thing. So, but and so this is where we've been ever since.
That's so cool. And farming is definitely a team effort.
Yes, and our three girls helped us. We couldn't afford to have hired people right away.
Right.
So my hired people were my daughters.
Yeah.
And they were my vets, and they were everything.
Yeah.
In that, and the same thing as we expanded the barns and kept on adding, the base herd, increasing the base herd. What they were my welders and my carpenters and. Not so much electricians, but welders and carpenters. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, my next question is a tricky one. It's the most challenging one for people to answer so far, but it's interesting to see how different people's answers have been. So, what does mental wellness mean to you?
Well, mental wellness to me is just trying to eliminate stress in our lives. A lot of people handle stress different ways. Agriculture is one of the toughest ones because you have so many different variables that you have no control on.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, when you produce a product, you don't know what the weather's going to do to it.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're going to get paid for that commodity, or when you're going to take that commodity off. Yeah. And those things you have no control on.
Yeah.
You can do your best. Using an example like this year, I really feel sorry for a lot of producers because they signed agreements, signed contracts. and then all of a sudden they didn't have the product to fulfill the contract, and the contract says then you got to take and top up. Let alone you had a very poor production year. Now you got to cut a check from money you don't have.
Yeah.
Okay, to take and offset this contract.
Yeah.
Now there's a lot of people, and it's one thing that I found. Instead of saying, "Oh God, it sucks to be you," wow, I hate to. It's good to talk to them, let them get it out.
Yeah.
And I've had my fair amount of stresses, and different things what we did. But it's good to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
My part of it was, where Deb and I have a very good working relationship.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of good neighbors out here. Very well, our family members are very accepting. Mm-hmm. And I actually, this could be right or wrong. If you recall the movie The Lion King, okay, and there's the baboon there that says, what are you worried about? And it doesn't matter because it's in the past.
Right.
So instead of dwelling on it, okay, we'll have to work our way through it. It already happened, and let's get on with life.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that answers or sort of brings, it's sort of a big story, if that sort of answers your question.
Yeah. Learning to deal with the stress and trouble that comes in life, and in our area, in the agriculture industry, there's definitely a lot of stress.
Yeah, it's easier said than done. That there's no doubt.
Yeah.
And some people can't shake it.
Yeah.
And some people can.
Yeah.
Again, myself, when we had our barn fire. And that was a tough one because we lost the entire facility.
Yeah.
And we had to make a decision because, of course, we couldn't afford all the insurance that was required.
Right.
And at my age at the time, I had to try to figure out, what am I going to do? Do I go and borrow $1 million, over and above what insurance was to rebuild the facility? Or, and I like the term, and I put my big boy pants on and say, you know what, hey, it's too bad it happened, but you've got to get on with life.
Yeah.
And then I went to the oil patch, and I worked in oil patch for 10 years to get over that, and here we are today.
So learning to be adaptive.
Yeah. Oh,
has
big
helped
time.
you
Yeah.
to deal with big changes and big stresses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I've had my fair share, when, number one, disrupting the family and moving them to the different locations in Alberta where I felt I was getting ahead, right to the point to where the company says we no longer need you. And it's not that we have a position for you that you can help us even sweeping the floor in the plant.
Right.
No, you're done.
Yeah.
You're done. And you got to make those decisions. What do you do? Where do you go? How do you disrupt your family?
Yeah.
And in the case of losing a job, I thought, well, that's only me. How it hits the family, your wife, your children, all of a sudden everybody is more stressed.
Everybody feels it. Yeah, for sure.
So, but you just have to do it. Right. The girls laugh at me because I always use the term, well, we'll have to deal with it accordingly. And it is what it is.
I think I maybe have heard your girls say that.
Yeah, gotta deal with it accordingly. Yeah.
Not sure. So. Probably Des, maybe. I don't know.
Oh, Desiree, yeah, for sure. My eldest daughter uses that every so often too.
Nice. Well, how has COVID affected you and your family?
It secluded us. The not knowing what it was all about. I was involved with the first when they were discussing this wave that's coming about this thing called COVID. I met with the doctors, and I sort of said, well, it's sort of a bad flu. And then when one of the doctors explained to me and said, there's potential that 1 in 3 people could be dying from it.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I figured, whoa, this, come on, you're kidding me, right? No, it's and as we planned, you could see how bad it was getting.
Yeah.
And how, and we all hoped it wouldn't affect everybody the way they're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's one of those things, it doesn't affect everybody, but if you have somebody who has underlying complications,
right.
all of a sudden, if that's in your household, the stress becomes higher.
Right.
And having to adjust to a number of different things as well, virtual meetings.
Yeah.
And or just we are humans are a social animal, I'll say,
Yeah.
that way. And to not be able to get out and see people, it's that's stressful alone.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
the phones are buzzing, you know,
Yeah.
but that's not the same.
It's not the
Yeah,
same,
you want to
no.
do that, you know, that touchy-feely, have a good belly laugh type
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
And when it's a virtual meeting, you just don't have that.
Right. No, it's not the same.
No.
So you've mentioned already that like neighbors helped you, like looking for coping mechanisms for dealing with mental health troubles, struggles, stresses.
Yeah.
So connection was one for you, being flexible and being able to adapt to different situations. Is there anything else that comes to mind for you?
Well, you know, we're very fortunate at this neck of the woods, I'll say. We have a number of younger individuals, just younger than me, of course, that are very community minded. And it's our fire department, there's 26 members, and they're jotted from all over the county or our division. But everybody, and I find it amazing that if Johnny has got a problem, Bill from over there is going to be going over there.
Right.
And it doesn't matter if it's just need a helping hand or a piece of equipment.
Yeah.
I've seen these guys out here move 2-3 pieces of equipment to help a person just for a few minutes in an afternoon. And that culture is here, and it's a big part of it.
Yeah.
And there's more people that think that way because, well, we've got 26 full-time members, and we have a waiting list of 15
Really?
to join
For the Derwent.
the Derwent Fire Department.
That's
Yeah.
really awesome.
And then the other part of these guys, how they like to contribute back, is none of them take their wages out. When they get, like monthly, they would get paid for their services, like how many hours they put in. And whatever money they get, it all goes back into the department.
Wow.
And they buy equipment, they have, you know, barbecues, and they do all of this.
So they just have each other's backs.
110%.
Yeah, and that brings a lot of comfort or peace,
Well,
knowing that someone's got your back.
yeah, you know, we have, I think, somewhere around 320 people, okay, adults and then children in the area. I'll say there's probably, I'll go 570 altogether, including children. And to have a core group of, even if you include the people that are waiting to sign up, to have 41 people out of that core group, that becomes a pretty big percentage of that overall that are interested. And it's not that they all live next door to each other in Derwent. No, they're spotted all over the division, and what they do and how they do it, and it's never, and what I find it so heartwarming is it's never a problem. These guys are all busy too. They're all big farmers or they got jobs, but you know, you give them a call and they always find time. You know, and I've heard that before. If you want help, you got to ask for it from the busiest people, because they'll always find the time.
They'll find the time.
Yeah.
Because they like to help.
Well, exactly, it is. And when I look back over the years when I moved here, their parents were the same way.
Yeah.
They were the movers and shakers of the community. It didn't matter if it was the church or the hall or the arena, whoever. Come on over. You got to come for a coffee. I need to throw this idea at you.
Okay, well, my last question for you isn't a hard one.
Okay.
What's your favorite sport? To play or to watch?
Basketball.
Really?
Yeah.
I wouldn't have guessed that.
Basketball, I had played in high school. I played men's ball.
Oh.
Yeah, and I continue. I enjoy it. I used to play hockey in Elk Point when I went to school there, and they set up a team, and I'm not sure if I should actually share this story, but what ended up happening, my dad was a worker, okay, farmer, and sports was a sideline.
Yeah.
And, you know, maybe on a Sunday, if there was something on, he'd watch it.
Yeah.
Anyways, I started playing, I used to play goal, and Dad never came to watch any of the games because there was just no time.
Yeah.
The one time he came, I got into a fight. And it's hard to believe that a goalie gets into a fight, but it happened because every time the guy skated behind me, he hit me with a stick in behind my knee and behind the pads. And of course, wouldn't you know it, that got me. And there is my dad, says, and he told me, he says, well, if that's the way you're going to play when he says, you're done. And that was my end of my career, and it sort of gave me a sour, taste in my mouth, and I just never did play it again.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. All my grandkids, well, I had 7 of them out of the 8 all play hockey.
Yeah.
Even the girls.
Good hockey players.
Yeah. And then my youngest granddaughter, she's into Ukrainian dancing and dance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
fine.
but, and they're all gone now, out and about. There's hockey in Fort Saskatchewan, Camrose, St. Paul, Bonnyville, and so on and so forth. So now we watch. Deb is an avid grandmother, Baba. She's got to go.
Baba.
Yeah, she's got to watch those little ones play. That's all there's to it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And they probably appreciate it.
Oh, they do. And it's sort of nice to see them out there too.
Yeah.
And I look back now, I just can't believe. I remember each one of them when they were born, and now to see that they're 14, 15, 16 years of age.
Yeah.
And how they've matured and grown into young women and men. Where did the time go?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I know. My oldest is graduating this year.
Oh.
I'm going grad dress shopping tomorrow.
Oh. Dina's daughter, who is 14, put on Dina's grad dress the other day and sent it to Deb. And talk about, where the heck did that happen?
Right? Yeah.
Where did it happen?
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time with me today. Full disclosure, I thought when we were looking at baby names before we had any children, I said to Terry, I think I like the name Reeve. He's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, well, Reeve Sailor is in the paper a lot at that time. And he's like, Reeve? That's like, Amy, that means like he's like the mayor of the county. I thought it was his name.
His first name,
Alan was his middle name. I didn't know why they kept putting his middle name in there. Reeve Alan Sailor. Reeve Alan Sailor. So I'm like, I really like the name Reeve.
Yeah.
He said,
well, you know what? It's like anything else. Shannon is for boys and girls, eh? And
there you go.
Yeah.
I think Reeve is a great baby name. Anyone having babies, they should go.
Well, that's okay. Hey, I actually never thought of it, but yeah, that is a neat name.
It would be a very confident name, too, I figured. So thanks for joining us today. Appreciate the time, Don.
No problem. Thank you very much. Glad I was involved.
Perfect.
Okay.